This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Try it, and the next prospective new knockout to take part in Gail Kim's Open Challenge will actually not get squashed like a meaningless jobber in 3 minutes or less. There have been a lot of times, especially lately, that I wonder if WWE is clued in at all to what the fans want. Are they really as oblivious as they seem these days? Or do they know what the fans want and just can't see past their own arrogance to care? I don't have an answer to that. But it is refreshing to have a company in TNA that, at least right now, looks like they're listening to their audience and seems to be trying to gear their product toward making the fans happy. We wanted Hogan and Bischoff gone? They're gone. We wanted a roster shakeup? That's happening. Even smaller stuff too, like the formatting of the show, not starting the same way every week, being able to break from formula once in a while. In this case, I thought the opening Dixie Carter promos were getting a little repetitive, so this week we started with the 4 guys in the semifinals of the World Title Tournament. We saw a badass video package for these guys to open the show, and I think TNA really hit a home run with how they presented this. Everything about this tournament feels momentous. It feels like there's something big on the horizon, like a world title tournament should feel. This is everything the Bound for Glory series from this past summer should have been. Everyone gets to talk here, hyping up the 2 semifinal matches, the promos are good all around, and then we go straight into the action. Very hot, fast-paced way to start off, and I thought it was cool to have the semifinals both start the show and end the show this week. Bookending the episode like that. I thought that was a nice touch. I have to say, I'm still not crazy about this Wheel of Dixie stuff. These gimmicks have just felt unnecessary all the way through, and most of them really haven't gotten the fanfare they should have. But that said, I'm not complaining about the matches themselves. They've all been really good or better, and these were no exception. Hardy and Rude in a tables match was terrific. I was very happy to see this go for a while. They did a better job timing the show this week. And kudos TNA for resisting temptation and not going for the screwy finish. When they both went through the table at the same time, I thought for sure there was going to be some kind of overbooked funny business here, but they just restarted the match, and we got a clean finish after all, which I did not expect. Good stuff. Big thumbs up on that one. And an even bigger thumbs up for the man who has quickly become TNA's resident legend killer. Just when I thought Ethan Carter III had reached the absolute pinnacle of greatness. Just when I thought that any opponent after the 1-2 punch of those titans of the industry, Shark Boy and Curryman, could only be a step down. EC3 somehow found a way to top even himself. Earl Hebner. A man who has been in the ring with every great the business has produced. A man who has no peers to speak of. The man who screwed Brett. Unbelievable. And not only that, but EC3 actually made sure to not just get an unbiased official, but an official that would actually be biased toward his opponent just to challenge himself. Yeah, you heard me, Brian Hebner. Don't think you were fooling anyone with that slow count, you little weasel.
How dare you!
That might have worked with an ordinary man, but you didn't count on EC3. And with this latest mind-blowing victory, EC3 remains undefeated and the crusade rolls on. As if anyone could stop it. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the greatest hero in the history of wrestling. I thought this was hilarious. This was the best EC3 has been on the mic so far. And making Brian Hebner count while he pinned his dad was so slimy. I loved it. I don't understand the hate this segment got on Twitter. I really don't. Why? Because he's pinning a referee instead of working a match? Oh, yeah, stupid TNA. Actually trying to get this character over before they put him in a real feud. I mean, that's insanity. What have TNA done? God damn it, they went and shot themselves in the foot once again. What a bunch of morons.
You people are fools!
That was directed at anyone who didn't like this segment. Dummies. And speaking of characters, I can't believe the Magic TNA are working with this Samuel Shaw, disturbed artist / American Psycho gimmick. When I saw this guy in Gut Check, when I watched him in OVW, I had the same issue over and over. Good athlete, but a blank slate personality. Well, I don't know where he was hiding it this whole time, but the dude found a personality, and it's pretty damn creepy. Just 2 vignettes of this, and I already can't wait to see where this goes. I'm suddenly really looking forward to this debut. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to return some videotapes. I gotta be honest here. The announcement that TNA's bringing back the Feast or Fired match left me pretty cold. Hogan, Bischoff, and Pritchard may have gone too far with getting rid of some of those old gimmick matches, but Feast or Fired was one I was really hoping had been retired permanently. No matter how they do this, every single time it comes off like a cheap imitation of Money in the Bank. I'm just not a fan of it. However, there is a way that TNA can change that. There is a way that they can make this whole match worth doing, and you know what I'm talking about, TNA. You damn well better come through for me on this one. Give Chavo the fired case. Give Chavo the fired case. Give Chavo the fired case. I wasn't really sure how to feel about this Joseph Park revelation. Bad Influence discovered that the Park and Park law firm has been closed for years, so it looks like we're getting closer to the moment when they pull the curtain back and reveal that all those fans in the crowd weren't just blowing smoke when they were chanting "He's Abyss" all those months ago. Lot of mixed feelings about this. On the one hand, I think them not revealing that Joseph and Abyss are the same person and just subtly alluding to it instead was part of what made the gimmick so interesting. On the other hand, they have kind of hit a wall with this character lately where if he doesn't evolve in some way, he's going to get stale. Joseph seems to be running out of mileage the way he is, so I think them revealing the truth is probably for the best, but I'm a little uneasy about it. But so far so good. This segment was great. It went from comedic to serious to a little disturbing, and that's all due to the performances. I continue to be impressed with Chris Park's acting, and Bad Influence are fantastic. They can do funny, they can do serious, and they can switch back and forth between the two, just like that. Great performances from all 3 guys here. Ah, Jesus Christ. Gunstorm had another match with the Bromance. Zema Ion is getting really trigger-happy with that air horn, and it's not getting any easier to listen to. This is so frustrating to watch. Zema Ion is a talented guy, a character I used to like. But this, being a personal ring announcer for the Bromance, blasting that air horn during their matches, this stuff is beneath him. And so are they, for that matter.
You guys suck.
I guess the upside here, if you want to see it, is that even though the faces lost again, this time the match was more about teasing the friction between Storm and Gunner than it was about ramming the Bromance up our asses. And the DQ finish made it so James Storm didn't have to get pinned by Robbie again, so... Yay, silver lining. Man, I hope this is leading to a James Storm heel turn. They dropped the ball on his face run a year ago, and he's been directionless ever since. I'm relieved to see something finally happening with Storm, but his character needs its edge back really badly. Gail Kim Open Challenge number 3. Gail beats Laura Dennis, aka Cherry Bomb. The newbie gets the jobber treatment, lather, rinse, repeat. Gail and Lady Tapa beat Cherry down post-match until ODB makes the save, and again teases that match with Tapa that I'm still not looking forward to that much. First things first, I like Cherry Bomb a lot, she's great, she's talented, sign her right now. That being said, I have a bone to pick. What is the purpose of this open challenge exactly? I thought it was to introduce a new knockout, or potentially a couple new knockouts, but we're 3 installments into this thing now, and so far all we've seen is quick squash matches that seem to serve no other purpose than to reinforce Gail Kim's dominance, which is really not necessary at this point. We know Gail is TNA's Trish Stratus. She's the figurehead of your women's roster. She's the be-all, end-all, the alpha and the omega of the knockout division, and probably will be until she retires. You've made that very clear. But you know what? Eventually the day is going to come when the status quo is going to change. She won't be there anymore, and you're going to have to start building your division around a woman, or women plural, who are not Gail Kim. What are you going to do then? Wouldn't you like to be prepared when that happens? This type of angle doesn't need to be so much about Gail. I would hope you're using it to introduce new female stars to your viewing audience, but when you have Gail quickly defeating all these challengers with really no problems, and all the new girls get almost no chance at all to make a case for themselves, how is that doing them any favors? Their first appearance on iMPACT and they got buried. If Lady Tapa was interfering on Gail's behalf during these matches to help her beat these challengers, that would be different. Then there'd be a case for them being screwed over, you'd have a reason to bring them back later and put some heat on Tapa at the same time. But that's not what's happening. Instead, it's Gail Kim obliterating some very talented prospective new knockouts that I'd much rather see on my TV every week instead of ODB, for no other reason than because Gail Kim is just that much better than every other woman wrestler alive. Haven't you covered this already? You make the new girl look like a scrub, which does nothing to help her, and make Gail look untouchable, which at this stage of the game she doesn't need. So what are you really accomplishing here? Isn't it about time one of these new girls got to put up a real fight? Or were you making them all look weak just so ODB could look better by comparison? Well, excuse me if I'm not tinkling with anticipation for that.
No, no, no.
Man, this is discouraging. This open challenge is really not turning out the way I hoped it would, not at all. We've seen two great independent talents get matches on TV, albeit briefly, but if they're only really there to be fed to Gail Kim, then what's the point? Oh well. Could be worse. They could have brought back Madison Rayne. There it is again. What the hell keeps doing that?
Destination? Horror.
Our last semi-final bout of the tournament was Kurt Angle versus Magnus in a last man standing match, which I didn't realize it was until after the match started. So TNA really could have done a better job with hyping that gimmick. The match was solid. The tables match was the better of the two, but this one was more about the finish than the match itself. Bobby Roode is the spoiler here. He interferes and takes out Angle. And if you look closely, Magnus definitely saw that happen out of the corner of his eye, but he pretended that he didn't. It was very subtle. They didn't draw attention to it, but it was there. So you gotta figure that Magnus heel turn is coming up soon. This close to the UK tour, they're going to have to be really careful with how they do this, but it is being set up well. You know, they're teasing it, but not being so obvious about it that it takes all the surprise out. Reference Bully Ray at Lockdown 2013. There are still enough questions here that there's some genuine intrigue. When will Magnus turn exactly? How will he do it? Will he be on Team Dixie? Will he be on his own? And for a turn that seems to have been in the works for a while now, that's pretty good. And now we know that it's going to be Magnus versus Jeff Hardy in the finals to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion, and they've made that feel like a really big match. I'm excited for this one. A hell of a lot more than I am for Cena versus Orton at TLC for the Unified Championship with 3 weeks of build-up, I'll tell you that. This was a great impact, minor gripes aside. The World Title Tournament has been terrific. I love the stuff with Angle and Roode. I am beginning to wonder where the hell the X Division is, but the announcement that we're getting Sabin versus Aries next week definitely put a smile on my face. Which is happening more with every day that goes by, with no further updates about this supposed sale of my YouTube channel. Seems like all that chatter has really died down. You'd think we would have heard something by now. Odd, isn't it, that there have been no announcements one way or the other. Oh, for God's sake, do you really need this spelled out for you? It's a smoke screen. They're in denial mode. Anyone accuses the buyer of anything, and of course they're going to say there's nothing going on. They don't want anyone else getting in on this until the sale is official. Well, even if that is indeed the case, I'm not going to let this stop me from doing my job. And that's why I'm happy to announce a very exciting new initiative I'm going to be implementing very soon that's going to make you forget all about this supposed sale that may or may not be happening. A revolutionary new concept that will take cameras behind the scenes, show our viewers things they've never seen before. Me in all sorts of new situations and environments, up close and personal, real life stuff, people. I call this initiative FK 24/7, where excitement doesn't stop. Now who's in denial mode? I'm not listening to you. 24/7, people. Gonna be the greatest thing you've ever seen. Stay tuned.